And now, from approximately coast to coast, it's the Bob and Ray Radio Show. Okay, thanks, Paul, and everybody's here and accounted for.
Are they all here? Bob's here, Ray's here, Webley,
I'm here.
Paul Taubman.
Yes, he's there.
Okay.
And Al Schaefer's over there. And I guess the whole crowd is here. So
Right.
why don't we get to our work?
All right.
Friends, have you reached that time of life when you feel useless because your children have all grown up and moved away?
Worse yet, have you gone without children because you live in an apartment building where the landlord won't let you have one?
Or, worst of all, do you have children but still feel bored because they're always the same children day after day?
Well, neighbors, if your answer is yes to any of those heart-rending questions, then you'll want to hear more about our fabulous offer to put a videotaped child in your home today.
Yes, friends, for a price that sounds too ridiculous to be true, you can have the lifelike picture of a little tyke romping in your living room tonight through the magic of VCR.
Just imagine 3 solid hours of all that excitement you've been missing as you watch the little one on the screen break dishes, pound a tin pan with a spoon, and even throw a temper tantrum for your viewing pleasure.
Now, let our Bob and Ray videotape child create its heartwarming racket while you're trying to read the paper in the evening. Or, better yet, program your VCR to wake you at 3 a.m. with the demanding cries of a noisy youngster.
Truly, there are 1,001 ways you can use a Bob and Ray VCR child to upset the orderly routine of your life. But best of all, you need not be bored with the antics of the same bothersome kid night after night.
He speaks true, friends. Thanks to modern electronics, you can exchange your videotape child for another one in our vast library at any time for only a moderate charge.
We have an ample stock of boys and girls of all ages, from howling infancy to those defiant teenage years. So if you like, you can have a different noisy child in your home every day of the week.
However, we don't want you to order a Bob and Ray videotaped youngster on our say-so alone. Instead, let us read to you from some of the unsolicited letters of thanks that have come pouring into our lavish New York post office box.
A woman in Utah writes, I'm in my late 70s and had almost forgotten what it was like to have neighbors call the police about my loud, thoughtless children. Now, thanks to your wonderfully lifelike tape, the fuzz is here at all hours to investigate the ruckus. I haven't felt so popular since my real kids were all sent to prison for their hijinks. I'm ever grateful to you.
And from a man in Michigan comes this testimonial. I originally purchased a Bob and Ray VCR child to ruin my evenings and make my days at the office seem pleasant by comparison. Imagine my surprise when I found that my faithful dog Sport was also fascinated by the youngster on the screen. Sport hurls himself at the TV, snapping and growling happily. It's a treat for him, and I no longer have to pay expensive lawsuit awards for the parents of all those live children that Sport used to chase.
And finally, here's a touching postcard from a woman in Ohio who writes, I was upset at first when I noticed that the videotaped child you sent me needed to have his teeth straightened. I lay awake nights worrying how I could pay for orthodontia. Then I realized that I could simply exchange the tape for another one featuring a child with better teeth. I can never thank you enough for bringing me all the worries of parenthood without saddling me with any of the expense.
Obviously, you're anxious to have us do the same thing for you that we've done for all these grateful people. So why not order your videotaped child today and take advantage of our special bonus offer?
That's right, Pilgrims. He said special bonus offer. If your prepaid order is postmarked before midnight tonight, we'll also send along absolutely free a large package of authentic childhood junk to scatter around your home.
Now, this isn't just the usual assortment of cheap crayons and broken doll heads that you get from most companies making a similar offer. Instead, we'll include such action items as roller skates you can trip over to injure yourself, not to mention a collection of scary bugs that may still be partially alive when they reach you.
Surround yourself with these free premiums while you enjoy viewing the antics of a young child on your TV screen, and you'll immediately sense what parenthood is all about.
So why not act quickly to experience all the excitement of adding a videotaped child to your household? Just send cash, check, or money order to Toddlers on Tape, care of Bob and Ray, New York.
Better make that strictly cash or money order, since checks can lead to a lot of unpleasantness on an item like this. The address again, Toddlers on Tape, care of Bob and Ray, New York. Thank you.
Yes, especially for the cash. Thank you.
welcome now to General Pharmacy, the dramatic story of handsome young druggist Ross Flecknoy and his struggle to save mankind at the prescription counter of a pharmacy still technically owned by his aging father. As our scene opens today, Ross is busily dusting the bottles in his vitamin display when a distinguished-looking stranger suddenly approaches the prescription counter.
Good morning. To you, I probably seem like nothing more than a distinguished-looking stranger. However, I happen to be the world-famous surgeon, Dr. Knowlton Bradshaw, whose skilled hands have saved the lives of thousands. Currently, I'm suffering from a skin rash that I've been unable to cure with a mustard poultice, so my dermatologist has given me this prescription to be filled.
I'll be right with you, Doctor. I just have to finish cleaning up this vitamin display first. For some reason, my customers think the vitamins have lost their potency when there's too much dust on the bottles.
Well, there's a very sound medical reason for your customers to think that, but please don't be long. I'm doing surgery, and it's difficult to operate when I have a rash that itches.
Hey, imagine seeing you here, Dr. Bradshaw. Remember me? Former child piccolo prodigy Fritz Lipvogel? You saved my musical career after that gravel truck backed over my fingers.
Oh, yes, of course. You were the $12,000 cartilage transplant.
All right, Doctor, I can fill your prescription now.
Rebuilding your fingers was one of my most brilliant surgical accomplishments. Unfortunately, I don't do much of that delicate work anymore. You see, I have to keep stopping to scratch my rash.
Well, I just want you to know that I'm going to pay the whole $12,000 I owe you eventually, but it's been hard to save that much. I wasn't quite as good a piccolo prodigy as I thought. So now I just play on street corners for nickels and dimes.
Of course, I'm still asked to lecture before the College of Surgeons, but constant scratching in the operating room has made work on the human brain a virtual impossibility.
Being a doctor, you could write out a new prescription if you've lost the one you brought. I wouldn't ask to see your license or anything like that.
It's quite a come down for a man of my stature to be yanking out tonsils again. And the hospital has warned me that I may soon be demoted to experimenting on guinea pigs.
I still play some of the difficult classical pieces at home for my mother, but I hit too many sour notes to do it in public. Can't imagine why I ever thought I was a prodigy.
Of course, I have nothing against guinea pigs, but operating on them exclusively puts a famous surgeon into a much lower income bracket.
I don't suppose the people who listen to me on street corners would want to hear classical music even if I could play it without hitting so many clinkers.
Sometimes I think I should just slash my wrists and end it all, but I can't seem to stop scratching long enough to hold the razor steady.
Doctor, if you won't give me your prescription, I'm afraid I'll have to wait on this other gentleman here first.
I'd hate to sink to the point where I have to start making house calls to eke out an existence.
Oh, I didn't come in here to be waited on. I just stepped inside for a minute to warm my hands so I can play a few more old favorites for the people down at the corner.
I've always enjoyed the old favorites myself. They lift my spirits and even help my rash by reminding me of better days when a promising medical career lay ahead of me.
Well, if there's anything I can do musically to help your skin condition, just say the word, Doc.
A very kind of offer, and I feel certain that you can be of assistance. Would you, please play something?
And so handsome young druggist Ross Flecknoy again offers the facilities of his prescription department to aid the sick and downtrodden. But can even a dedicated pharmacist stand idly by while his customers cure each other? Be sure to join us next time when we'll hear the mother of piccolo prodigy Fritz Lipvogel say,
"Why, you can't even play the old favorites worth the lick anymore, son."
That's in the next thrilling episode of General Pharmacy. Well, I know you listeners will be delighted to hear that our Bob and Ray weather station is now back in service. It's right on the top floor of this very building.
That's amazing.
Well, I don't see why you think it's amazing, Ray. Men have been up there working on the equipment for almost a week now.
Oh, I don't mean it's amazing that the weather station is back in service. I just found it amazing when you said our listeners will be delighted to hear about it.
Oh, well, maybe delighted is too strong a word, but we do have a lot of sophisticated new equipment up there, so we're now able to give accurate forecasts for the entire nation. And best of all, we have our two expert meteorologists back on the job, Walton Krager and Charles L. Bernbach.
Indeed we do. So for you listeners whose business or vacation plans may depend upon the weather around the country, we switch now to Walton Krager and Charles L. Burnback at the Bob and Ray weather station on the top floor.
Thank you, Bob and Ray on a lower floor. This is Charles L. Burnback speaking from Weather Central. I'm standing before a large computerized instrument.
Hey, Charlie, what do you want on your toast? Jelly or marmalade?
Neither one, just a little butter.
You got it. Here you go. I think we'd better get the toaster checked out. It's making that funny noise again.
Well, right now we're on the air, Walt, and I was just about to tell our listeners, and we have this new computerized instrument to bring in pictures from our Bob and Ray weather satellite. For instance, right now we're focused on the Great Lakes region, where a storm front is moving in.
Well, I don't see anything there but some little pieces of fluffy white stuff.
Well, the man who installed this equipment told me that patches of fluffy white stuff are really pictures of storm clouds.
Well, that's not a very clear picture. I took some snapshots of a storm cloud when I was in meteorology school. They all came out a lot better than this.
Well, I don't think you can make a comparison, Walt. You were probably on the ground when you made those snapshots.
Well, of course I was. I said I was in a meteorology school. The school was located on the ground. What's your point?
Well, this picture was taken from our weather satellite, and it's in outer space.
Oh, really? Wow, it's still not a very clear picture. You didn't send the film to one of those cheap quickie places to be developed, did you?
I didn't have any film from the satellite developed, Walt. Maybe one of the girls in the office handled that. In any event, we can see stormy conditions now over the Great Lakes.
What makes you think those things are the Great Lakes?
Well, the Atlantic coast is this thing over here, and the Pacific coast is over there. These little three things are about in the middle near the top. That must be the Great Lakes.
Well, I thought there were 4 Great Lakes.
No, I'm pretty sure there are only 3. The Great Salt Lake is sometimes called Great, but it's not really one of the Great Lakes.
Maybe you're right. So if this really is a storm, and those really are the Great Lakes, well, then what?
It will have moved either eastward or southward by tomorrow morning, which will put it over Wisconsin or North Carolina.
Why, I thought this was Illinois over here and Alabama down there.
No, besides what you're pointing at on our satellite picture isn't part of the United States at all. That's Cuba.
Well, the picture's so fuzzy, I don't know how you can tell. I really think we ought to send somebody up there to focus that camera better.
Well, I guess we could try, but for now, I was talking to my brother in Detroit just before we went on the air, and he said it's starting to get real cloudy out there.
Well, based on that, I'd be willing to go out on a limb and predict possible showers for the Detroit area by late evening.
Yes, and those could easily spread into Wisconsin and North Carolina by morning.
I thought we decided on Illinois and Alabama.
Well, either way, you folks in that part of the country are in for some heavy weather, so you'd better cover your citrus plants and bring in the porch furniture tonight.
I agree. And now, concluding today's report from our state-of-the-art weather satellite, this is Walton Krager speaking for Charles L. Burnback and myself, sending it back downstairs to Bob and Ray. Let's see. According to the call board, Wally Ballou is standing by with a report from the Transatlantic Bridge. I really didn't know there was such a thing.
It's still under construction, I think. Actually, I don't know. It hasn't got much publicity.
Well, I'm sure we'll learn all of the details as we switch out there now to correspondent Wally Ballou.
Lee Ballou speaking from the main construction shack of the Transatlantic Bridge, some 800 miles due east of New York. Beside me is one of the men responsible for this eighth wonder of the world, Mr. Oddmont Fulcrum. I believe I am correct, Mr. Fulcrum, in saying that the bridge construction is now extended to a point about 800 miles out of New York.
We're right around 800 miles from New York, yes. We don't keep an accurate check on our mileage, but we're less than halfway across.
As I understand it, the bridge ultimately will end in England.
Well, we're pointing it toward England, but in the event that we miss the mark, we'll just go on to the French coast.
You know, it's strange, but I could swear that I hear an automobile motor way off in the distance. But, of course, that's impossible.
No, it's not impossible at all. We've opened the toll house at the New York end.
Gee whiz, that car went right off the end of the bridge and into the ocean. Shouldn't you put up a sign of some kind to warn people the bridge isn't completed beyond this point?
Well, it wouldn't do much good, really. The bridge is too narrow to turn a car around on, and you certainly couldn't back up 800 miles to New York.
No.
When you hit this point, You almost have to drive off the end.
Yeah, I suppose so. The amazing thing to me about this monumental project is the fact that only 3 men are working on it. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I'm working on it. Jimmy Sanderson's working on it, and Bobby Bogle is working on it. And the funny part is that none of us had any previous experience in bridge building.
Well, then, how did you ever get the idea for building a bridge clear across the Atlantic Ocean?
Well, it all came about kind of by accident, Wally. Jimmy and Bobby and I were at Coney Island one summer afternoon back in 1951. We were trying to build a castle in the sand, but the thing kept falling down.
Uh-huh.
And when we got finished, we discovered that what we really had was a bridge approach.
And so you decided to just go ahead and build a bridge out of sand all the way to Europe. Is that it?
That's right. We figure that with airline and steamship fares as high as they are, a lot of people would be glad to pay a 50-cent toll to drive across. We opened the New York toll house right away so we'd have some operating capital.
Well, I don't notice any machinery or anything around here. You usually see pile drivers and things like that where a bridge is being built.
Well, most bridges are not built out of sand. All we use are buckets and shovels. Jimmy and Bobby dig up the sand at Coney Island, and they bring it out to me, and then I pack it down here at the end of the bridge.
Wow. And you were telling me before we went on the air that you hope to complete the project by about 1987, 88?
That's right. Of course, you can drive out this far anytime you'd like.
No, thanks. I think I'll wait until it's finished.
Well, suit yourself about that.
Well, I want to thank you for chatting with us, Mr. Fulcrum. And now this is Wally Ballou, winner of 51 International Awards, sending it back to New York.
Join us now as we return once again to Gary's Summit and its endless story of intrigue among the socially prominent. There in stately splendor, far removed from the squalid village below, they fight their petty battles over power and money. As our drama resumes, wealthy Agatha Murchfield is arranging flowers in the greenhouse when her spineless son Rodney enters. Rodney takes time to stop and smell the roses. Then he speaks.
Mother, I'd like to discuss all the anger and hostility you felt against me throughout my entire life.
Well, I'd love to chew the fat with you, Rodney, but you've caught me at a bad time. As you can see, I'm busy arranging flowers just now.
Well, that's the way it's been since I was a child, Mother. You're always too busy to talk to me, and, well, now I hear you've gone behind my back to fire me as president of Murchfield Lead Company.
Well, you should have seen that coming, Rodney. The price of wholesale lead has dropped something fierce on the world market. And as a result, the family firm's in deep trouble. And the heads had to roll.
But I had nothing to do with the decline in lead prices, Mother. I've just remained our steady hand at the tiller in these difficult times.
Oh, you're too much of a wimp to be a steady hand at anything. That's why I decided to have you replaced at the company by your capable brother, Caldwell.
Caldwell? He's nothing but a ne'er-do-well lounge lizard, Mother, the black sheep of the family.
That's what I used to think too, Rodney, but last night he showed me the Master of Business Administration degree from Harvard that he says he just earned by correspondence. And it made me awfully proud. I can picture him now, starting to use that knowledge to steer Murchfield Lead through troubled waters.
Hi, Mr. Murchfield. I'm Sparky from the mailroom. They sent me over to help you get settled here in the presidential office.
Okay, put my golf clubs next to the door so they'll be easy to pick up on the way out. And do whatever you want with this other junk. It just looks like dull company documents of some kind.
I'll have them all shredded for you, sir. What about your Master of Business Administration degree? Do you want me to have it framed and hung on the wall?
No, somebody might spot it as a forgery. I just had it printed up to fool my mother. She's too dippy to know I even started college.
No kidding. See, that really marks you as an inspiration to an underachiever like me, Mr. M. I'm a 9th grade dropout myself.
Well, I'd like to make you my executive vice president on the strength of those credentials, son. But I've already promised that job to my brother's ravishingly beautiful secretary, Pamela.
I can easily understand that decision, sir. It's okay because I'm basically an employee of the mob. They just planted me here to keep an eye on you because of your big gambling debts. I'm sure my underworld bosses will be pleased to learn that you've moved up into a higher-paying position.
So, what do you figure he's making now, Lefty? $1 million a year, maybe?
Easy. Maybe more with fringe benefits. And I'd say the $10,000 a week we're collecting from him is way too low now.
Yeah, he's been getting the 50% interest rate we give our preferred borrowers, but I don't think we need to be nice to him any longer.
Right. He's in a good spot now to embezzle enough company funds to pay anything we ask. So name a figure.
Have that guy with the glasses and bookkeeping figure it out, Lefty. Just tell him I want to put a big enough squeeze on Murchfield to control his company by the end of next month.
That may be hard to do with high interest alone, boss. We might also have to kidnap him and hold him for millions in ransom.
Just do whatever it takes, Lefty.
Gotcha, boss. I'll get the boys together and work out the details.
Will Caldwell's gambling debts spell curtains for the Murchfield Lead Company? Will Rodney be able to find another job that draws on his vast experience as a social parasite? What about Sparky, the mysterious kid who pretends to be a mobster pretending to be a mailroom boy? Perhaps we'll learn more next time when we hear the dean of the Harvard Business School say,
Caldwell Murchfield? I think he applied for admission here once, but he was wearing a wide necktie and brown shoes.
That's in the next thrilling episode when we shall return again to Gary Summit. Now we have the noted psychologist Dr. Merton Chesney here in the studio with us again, and he's consented to answer questions phoned in by you emotionally disturbed listeners. And Doctor, it's good to see you again.
Well, I'm afraid your perception of good as opposed to evil is only a subjective judgment in this case. Why would you feel that seeing me is intrinsically good?
Well, I hadn't actually analyzed my feelings. I just wanted to make you feel welcome. So I said it's good to see you. Now, our first call is coming in.
Just a moment. I think we're achieving a breakthrough in your case. Do you often attempt to curry favor with others by telling them it's good to see them?
I'm not trying to curry favor. I hardly even know you. Now, if you'd please pick up the phone.
See there? When you let your real emotions show through, you feel quite hostile to me.
I'm not hostile. Now pick up the bloody phone.
Oh, very well. If it's good to see me, I don't know why you carry on this way. Hello, you're on the air with Dr. Chesney.
Hello? I need your help bad, Doc. I've just taken a job in a large city for the first time, and I panic every time I have to go up to my office on the 28th floor.
Yes, that's acrophobia.
No, it's Philadelphia. But I think I'd feel the same in a tall building anywhere.
Yes, I'm sure you would. Condition causes you to hyperventilate.
Not me. In fact, you can't even open the windows in these new buildings. The air conditioning just comes on automatically.
I see. Well, can you describe the symptoms that you're feeling right now?
Oh, I feel pretty good right at the moment.
Excellent. Then, even though you haven't understood anything I said, it appears that talking out your problem has cured you.
Yeah, either that or I feel good now because I'm calling from a payphone on the ground floor.
Well, we never know exactly why a psychological cure takes place, but it's the result that counts. Now let's move along to another caller in need. Hello, you're on the air with Dr. Chesney.
Hello, Doctor. I'm in a frazzle because I have the same terrible dream every night. It's about my husband eating crackers in bed.
I see. What happens in this recurring dream?
Not much. I dream that he starts coughing on the cracker crumbs, so he has to get up to get a drink of water. Sometimes he even leaves the room to go check the thermostat on the heater.
Madam, this doesn't sound eventful enough to be a bad dream. I think you're probably awake when you hear your husband eating crackers in bed every night.
Well, I don't know. I've strictly forbidden him to do that, so I assumed I must be dreaming.
No, I think he's defying your orders, so you try to tell yourself it's just a dream.
By George, I'll bet you're right. But if it's all real, then I wonder what's become of those blue elephants I always see sitting on the foot of his bed.
Well, I'm sure there's a logical explanation. You'll be able to figure it out for yourself now that I've cleared your mind of your main problems. So we'll have to move along to the final caller. Hello, you're on the air with Dr. Chesney.
Hello? I just need one quick answer, Doc. Is it nutty to have a terrible fear of stepping on a crack in the sidewalk?
Yes, it's extremely nutty.
Oh, well, okay.
Probably goes back to that silly rhyme we all heard in childhood, step on a crack, break your mother's back, you know.
I never heard that before.
Well, it's not important.
I think it's vitally important. Gee, now that you've told me that, I'll probably be afraid to walk on the sidewalk at all. I'll never walk again.
Well, staying in the house certainly would solve your problem. You'll feel less anxiety, and your mother will be out of the constant danger you've been putting her in. So I'm pleased I could help the both of you. And now this is Dr. Merton Chesney signing off by wishing you all good luck and good emotional stability. And that old theme song means another swiftly paced, laugh-packed half hour has gone into the history books, and we got to wrap it up for today.
Our thanks to Larry Josephson, who developed and produced the Bob and Ray Show for the Radio Foundation.
And to his associate producer, Lars Hoel, who in his spare time likes to collect old shoe polish cans and butterflies.
Paul Taubman, whose interest in furniture and the preservation of water was at the organ. And Al Schaefer, who provided sound effects, will do the same thing next week.
Technical director, David Glasser.
Assisting with engineering, Marty Newman, Miles Smith, and Jay Newland.
Today's program was recorded at Howard Schwartz Studios, New York City.
That's a real funny thing to say. And production assistants, Bill O'Neill and Charles Whitson.
Funding, in part, is from the National Endowment for the Arts and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting through NPR's Satellite Program Development Fund.
And now this is Ray Goulding reminding you to write if you get work.
And Bob Elliott reminding you to hang by your thumbs.
Additional funding from public radio stations. For a free picture of Bob and Ray, send a stamped self-addressed envelope to Bob and Ray Picture, Box 5000 GPO, New York 10116. Again, send a stamped self-addressed envelope to Bob and Ray Picture, Box 5000 GPO, New York 10116. We regret that we cannot send a picture without a stamped self-addressed envelope. This program was independently produced by the Radio Foundation.